Gonna change the theme tune 'cause you hate it. La la, la 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 la, ooh, fading.
I wanted to talk about a few books that made a real impact on me when I was growing up. Just something that popped into my head this evening as I was looking through them and taking some photographs of some images from them. The first one I'm going to talk about is, let's go with this one. This of Time and Stars by Arthur C. Clarke. Now, I bought this when I was at school. I was 8, I think. Yeah, I was 8 because I was still at infant school when I bought this. I was in my last year of infant school. We had a kind of book club thing that would come around once a term and would offer us books. And I saw this, thought this looked good, and I bought it. So this is a kind of compendium of short stories by Arthur C. Clarke. And it includes The 9 Billion Names of God, which is a story where some monks decide that once they've worked out all the names of God, of which they think there are 9 billion, the universe will end. So they hire a computer company to put a computer into their abbey or monastery or whatever. It would be a monastery, wouldn't it? And the computer then works out the 9 billion names of God. I'm not going to spoil the ending. It's a pretty good one. There's also No Morning After, which is a story about how aliens reveal to a drunk guy that there's going to be a catastrophe and reveal that they can save everybody, but he needs to tell people. But he's drunk when they tell him, so he forgets. Then there's All the Time in the World, which is a story about what happens if you freeze time. And also included in here is The Sentinel, which was the original short story that kind of kicked off the whole thing with 2001: A Space Odyssey. So this is really good, and the artwork on it's really good. And I've got the artwork up on screen right now properly, and it's one of these things that kind of really grabbed me. There was something about it that, I don't know, it just seemed exciting, and the weird kind of columns at the back, and what was going on. Is this spaceship attacking things? Is that its engine at the one end? There's so many mysteries. Why is this a female astronaut at the front? It looks a bit like it with their head in their hands. It's not in the book, that cover, but it's great. It's by Peter Jones, the cover. So illustrations are the subject of the next one. Something I picked up this evening, dug it out. This is Galactic Tours, Thomas Cook Out of This World Holidays. This has got images by David Hardy and Extraterrestrial Travelogue by Bob Shaw. Now, this is a peculiar little thing. This was it was published by... who was it published by? Published by Proteus in 1981, which is when my grandparents bought it for me. So I would have been 9 when I was given this. So I look after my books, as you can tell. This has stuck with me for a long time because the artwork in it is absolutely beautiful. Now, you're not going to be able to see it very clearly if I'm just holding it up, but I will put some images up on screen as well in a moment. But I want to show you a couple of things. Like this thing, that's something that always stuck with me. The image of the large spaceman, and this with the super huge starship kind of crash landed is something that always stuck with me. Now, what I like about this book is that it doesn't present the future as being bleak or dystopian or anything like that. It kind of gives a kind of hopeful, positive look at the future, that there'd be a way of getting out to the stars, finding these alien worlds, and being able to experience them and being given the options to go and see them. The thing that really helped with this book is that, like the image here about skiing on Europa, the images are kind of almost, in some cases, almost photorealistic. And it was the first kind of sci-fi type book that I ever owned that made me feel that these were places that could exist in some cases. A very good example, one of my favourites, is this Ocean World illustration, where a large ship is coming in through the atmosphere above the planet's surface. Now, I don't know if you can see, but down in the corner you can actually see how nicely painted this is. I will be putting an image up on that on the screen, but it's not particularly high res, unfortunately, the one I've got. But yeah, this gave me a sense that maybe the future had some positivity to it. There was something that could come out of it that was good. The last one I want to talk about is, let me just put this down, is this. The A to Z of personal computers. Now this is from 1984, so this is 30 years old, and this is £1.95 at the time, which did feel ridiculously expensive. For that you got a little kind of small paperback sized book, but the thing about it, as you can see, it's properly bound like a small paperback book. The thing that's really nice about this, and why I've included it in with this, is because this one kind of brought the whole thing home for me. It was a little bit older, a couple of years older when this came out, and it kind of goes through the more it goes from straightforward business. I mean, that's a portable computer, apparently, that Osborne 1. It goes through these various machines that were the Husky Hunter. That looks fun. It goes through these various machines that were, a lot of them, far too expensive for me to ever even dream about affording. You know, things like the Apple II, right there. I think also later on in the very expensive lists is an even more expensive Apple. Hold on. They've got a Commodore Business, Commodore 8032 there. They've got a, let's see, Commodore there. A lot more adverts at this point in it. So they had all these various, the Act Apricot. Yeah, they had all these machines that some of them seemed to be kind of way out of the budget, and these were things that, like on this section, £501 to £1,600. Now remember, this was 1984 prices, so these were things that were ridiculously expensive. But it also had computers like the one I owned. I owned a ZX Spectrum. Let me just find that. Here we go. I owned one of these. And the thing that was really kind of interesting about these computers at this era was that there was no rhyme or reason to design. There was nothing was set in stone as to how these machines should look or work. So something like the Epson HX20 could be seen as perfectly normal. You know, that's got a built-in printer and tape player and a tiny screen, but quite a good keyboard by the looks of things. And then you get something like the Elan Enterprise 64 or 128, which had its own joystick. So these things existed, and these computers kind of gave me a feeling that whilst the future I was reading about in these other books wasn't here yet, that we were on the way to it. You know, it gave me no impression that, you know, we'd be dealing with things like iPhones or you know, tablet computers like the iPad, like iPads, or even nothing about e-readers like the Kindle. Nothing of that kind of malarkey. But it gave a sense that the future was on its way, which is kind of nice and kind of quite exciting. So I thought that was good. So those are the three things. Those are three books that, between me being kind of 8 and 11, made a real impact on me. And I think those are pretty formative years. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. So thank you for watching.